You were talking about the majority opinion in Muldrow v. City of St. Louis. You said, quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who were you talking about? Why don't you own up to it? Which, you call some of the members of the Supreme Court evil. Now, which ones do you think are evil?
I would have to refresh my record.
On April 22nd, 2024, you said there are some members of the Supreme Court that are evil. Which justices were you talking about?
Welcome back, Patriots, to the channel where truth meets the Constitution. If you're tired of activist judges and runaway courts trying to undermine the will of the people, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a dose of reality. Folks, let's talk about something that doesn't get enough attention, but affects every single one of us. Universal injunctions. Yeah, that's when a single federal judge can block a law or executive order for the entire country. That's one unelected person, likely cherry-picked through forum shopping, halting the will of the voters nationwide. That's not democracy. That's judicial tyranny.
Would any of you advise a client to defy a federal court order?
No.
None of you would? How about you, Professor?
Under most circumstances, we follow, the government and private parties follow court orders. I suppose I would not rule out ever the possibility that in a sufficiently egregious order, there should be some consideration of whether there's a way.
So in some cases,
I think it's a qualified answer, yes.
In some cases you would.
In an extremely narrow band of cases, I think it would be considered, yes.
Okay. Do any of you think that nationwide or universal injunctions are not being abused?
I'm not sure what if I may, Senator, I'm not sure what the time horizon of the question is. I don't think that there could be good faith disagreements about the correctness of some of them, but I have not seen in the last 4 months abuse.
Smart,
no.
I've read your stuff and I've read your writings. I don't want to get bogged down with this, but I have little respect for your opinion because I've read your stuff. When someone is in the White House that you agree with and someone gets a universal injunction against him, you don't like universal injunctions. You called them judges acting like they're politicians in robes and judges looking like crass political actors. But now that President Trump's in the White House, who you dislike, you think that universal injunctions taste like pumpkin pie. So I have to discount what you say because I think you act on your political beliefs. And I worry that that's what you're teaching your kids. So I'll leave you out of that. Do you think nationwide injunctions are being abused?
Certainly, Senator. I think that is.
They're being abused by both sides, aren't they?
Yes, Senator.
Both Republicans and Democrats are forum shopping, aren't they?
Certainly.
Professor, do you disagree with that?
I think both sides are abusing them. I agree.
Okay. Both sides.
Yeah.
There are no clean hands here. Now, your suggestion is that when a federal judge issues a nationwide injunction, there should be an automatic stay and an expedited right of appeal. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Do you disagree with that?
I haven't given enough thought to have a position on it, Senator.
I suspect, Professor, your answer will be it depends on who's president.
No, Senator.
Let me ask you about this. What if we had a rule? I was reading an article the other day. I'm not suggesting it. I just want your opinions. That said, if a president, any president, issues an executive order, let's say, that clearly violates settled Supreme Court precedent, that a a federal judge can't issue a nationwide injunction. For example, if a president issued an order that said no one in America has right to counsel any longer, including but not limited to, in a felony case, having the government pay for your lawyer if you can't afford it. That clearly violates settled Gideon v. Wainwright. In that case, a judge has no authority or does have authority to issue a nationwide injunction. But in a case where the law is unclear, a judge should refrain from that. Now, obviously, we'd have to trust our judges, but we're supposed to be able to trust them anyway. What do you think about that?
I don't agree with that, Senator, because I think universal injunctions transgress the limitations under Article 3, even if the underlying merits are clear.
I happen to agree with you. I don't think there's any basis under Article 3, under Supreme Court precedent, under the English common law for nationwide injunctions. I think politicians have helped judges, and many judges are politicians, to just make it up. And many of them are like Professor Shaw here. If they like the president, they're against nationwide injunctions. If they don't like the president, they're for him. Professor, let me ask you this while I have you. On April 22nd, 2024, you said there are some members of the Supreme Court that are evil. Which justices were you talking about?
I'll take it your word, Senator. I don't recall using that word, but.
All right, here's what you said. You were talking about the majority opinion in Muldrow v. City of St. Louis. You said, quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who were you talking about?
Sir, I'm very skeptical. If it's a transcription, it was probably a transcription error. I do not think I said.
No, you said it. Why don't you own up to it? Which you call some of the members of the Supreme Court evil. Now, which ones do you think are evil?
I would have to refresh my recollection. I've been very critical of some members of the Supreme Court.
You're embarrassed that you made that statement, aren't you?
I'm
You're an officer of the
Senator, it doesn't sound
court.
like something that I would say.
You know what I'm embarrassed at? That you're teaching our kids.
I don't refer to Supreme Court justices as evil in the classroom,
on
sir.
Your podcast, April 22nd, 2024.
Okay, well,
big as Dallas. And you're an officer of the court, and you're here advising us to be respectful to federal judges, and you say they're evil members of the United States Supreme Court? Gag me with a spoon. You're part of what's the problem in all of this.
Senator John Kennedy, you gotta love this guy, a straight shooter from Louisiana, who cuts through legal nonsense with a common-sense pocket knife. He grilled professors like Shaw, Alicia, and Blackman on the abuse of these universal injunctions, and let me tell you, he's 100% right. He laid it out plain, no decent legal advisor would ever recommend ignoring a federal court order. But one of these professors, of course, suggests that maybe in extreme cases, we should. That's how the left operates, rules for thee, not for me. When they don't like a law, they run to a hand-picked judge in a liberal circuit and get it blocked for the whole country. That's not law. That's sabotage. And yes, both parties have done some forum shopping, but let's be honest here. The left wrote the playbook on it. Ninth Circuit, anyone? And then Kennedy dropped the hammer. He said what all of us have been thinking. Universal injunctions violate Article 3 of the Constitution. That's right. These judges aren't ruling cases, they're playing president. That ain't their job. And then it got real. Kennedy called out one professor for calling Supreme Court justices evil. Folks, this is what we're up against. People who hate the very system that protects their freedoms. If you call a sitting Supreme Court justice evil, just because you disagree with them politically, you're not a scholar, you're a partisan hack, period. Our judiciary is supposed to interpret the law, not make it. Judges aren't kings. They don't get to cancel national policy with the stroke of a pen from their courtroom. We the people decide. Through our laws, through our elections, through our Constitution. Stand strong, stay free, and never stop fighting for the Republic. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.